Welcome to the first ever episode of Overly Honest Movie Reviews. I apologize if there's audio or video difficulties. This is my first time recording, so I'll probably be figuring it out as I go. With this platform, I'm going to continue to share my thoughts on films from the past, current releases, and upcoming films. Not only that, but I'll probably share thoughts on anything and everything else related to film. I figured the best way to introduce myself is to tell you a little about myself. As you can see behind me, I'm an avid movie collector. I'm going to dive into that a little bit later in the video. I've always had a love for film. I've watched more films than what I'd consider the average person probably since 97, give or take. That's when I started my first film class and really got into it. Little did I know at the time, as much as I loved movies, I really had no clue how deep the rabbit hole went. I'd seen a lot of the classics, major films, things that had won awards, been cult classics. Obviously, growing up in the 80s, I saw a lot of 80s movies as well. However, I was about to be introduced by a friend of mine, to a book that really changed everything. It was the 1001 Films to See Before You Died. Before you die. Sorry, not before you died. It really opened a window that I wasn't ready for. Right now, I think the list is around 1,200, give or take. Every year they add more movies, and then in doing so, they take other movies off to keep the list at 1,001. What I didn't know when I started the list was that it wasn't the 1,001 best films of all time. It was the 1,001 most influential or most important films of all time. When I started the list, I had watched probably around 300, maybe a little more. I think it took about 5 years to finish the list. I had some crazy weekends where I watched a ridiculous amount of movies, but then I'd have other weeks where I only watched one. On March 25th, 2015, so going on 6 years ago, I finished the list. Embarrassed to say, my last movie was Rocky. I know, a self-proclaimed movie lover that hadn't seen Rocky, but, it is what it is. I remember after watching Rocky, I decided to watch all the other ones. At that point, they had gone up to Creed, so I had watched all the Rocky films and Creed, and, better for it, but I'll dive more into those types of moments in further videos as well. While I was working on the list, I felt like I needed a challenge, so I decided, thanks to that same friend I spoke of with the book, I was going to start tackling some current Oscar pictures. Because every year the movies that they add to the 1001 often are the same type of movies that are nominated for Oscars. So I think in 2010 I started by watching the Best Picture nominees for the 83rd Academy Awards. It gave me way more of an appreciation while watching the ceremony. In the past, I'd watched it, but it was just, oh yeah, I'd heard of that movie, or I may have seen that one, but in general, there were a lot that I was still missing. Dozens for a fact. I think there's 60-some movies every year nominated, give or take, including shorts and whatnot. So there was a big batch I was missing out on. The following year, 2011, I decided to go further and watch not only the Best Pictures, but the acting categories as well. If I remember exactly, I don't think I was able to watch them all, meaning Best Picture and the acting categories. I think there were 2 or 3 probably that I'd missed out on before the actual Oscars. I ended up watching them later on, but I noticed that in doing so, it gave me an even greater appreciation while watching the Academy Awards, obviously. And I know the Academy Awards aren't the end-all be-all. I mean, far from it. That's very political. It's very money-driven. But, it gives you a good overall of the films from that year. The following year, 2012, decided to take the gloves off, dive in head first, and made it my goal to watch every single Oscar-nominated film in every category. So that includes the shorts for animated, documentary, and live action, the foreign films, which now called the international films, um, even the documentaries. So, I don't remember exactly how 20 plus categories. And like I said, I think there's 60 some films on average nominated each year. Um, Somehow I managed to do it the first year. The following year, not so much. I biffed on a couple that following year due to availability issues. But I'll go into that further as well. Um, in future videos, I'll go deeper into my journey every year. This is basically just a rough introduction to myself and my history with film. After this, I'm going to do a quick sneak peek of my collection, and then each episode further, I'll go into a specific film, my journey, the just general appreciation of film as a whole. Okay, so hopefully the audio on this works fairly well. This is going to be just a quick overview of my actual collection. As you can see on the top, I have box sets from movies, TV shows, etc. Down on that bottom row here are all of my TV series that aren't up on top. So not too many TV series, mainly movies. Everything's alphabetized. As you can, well, I guess you can't see from here, but everything's alphabetized, not only by letter, but then also alpha order after that. Again, more movies, TV series, odd memorabilia here and there. I'm moving around so you guys can get a better view overall. I apologize if it's a little shaky. Down here, and the second from bottom row here are all my Criterion collection. They're the only thing that I really have that's not just in straight alpha order. Those are all by spine number. Then the bottom two rows along here are all new ones that I haven't alphabetized yet. I was going to try to get those done before this video, but obviously that didn't happen. So, oh, and that little chunk down there on the bottom right are all combo sets. So, sets with multiple films in them that didn't fit alphabetically elsewhere. I'll go up here and finish the upper part. Each episode I'm going to try to feature at least one of these box sets to go into a little more depth on them. Apologize for my messy networking up there, and then lastly I've got my steel books going down the side. That's not all of my steel books, obviously, but it's the ones that I like to feature. I change them out semi-regularly. Thank you guys again for sticking around through my first episode. Obviously there were some bumps in the road. Hopefully each episode I'll get better and better with not only getting rid of my ums every 30 seconds, but audio quality. If you enjoyed this, as the big guys say, click subscribe and follow for more content. And I will hopefully see you guys later. Thanks.